Hello friends, today I'm going to solve LeetCode problem number 380, insert delete get random O of 1. So in this problem we need to implement a randomized set class. In this class we need to initialize our randomized set object in this function, which is the very first function here, and then we need to define our insert, remove and get random functions as well. So the insert function, what it does, it takes an argument and it inserts that value if it's not present in our object. If it is present, then we return a false, else we return a true. Similarly, for remove, it takes an argument val and it checks if the value is present in the object, then it removes the value and returns a value returns true. If not, it returns false. And in case of get random, we return a random element from our current set of elements, and the probability of returning each of the elements would be same, and all of these functions should be completed on O of 1 time complexity. So let's see how we could solve this problem. Here we have this input and the output is this. So basically this first parameter says that we are creating our object, our set, which will where we will perform our insert, remove and get random operations. So the next parameter is an insert, which takes a value 1, the argument 1. So basically we are inserting our 1 to our object. So far let's not define which object which kind of data structure we are using. Next we need to remove 2, right? So while we inserted 1, we know that there is no 1 in our data structure so far. So we were able to insert 1 and we return a true. And now when we are asked to remove 2, well, we don't have 2 in our data structure, so we return a false because we are not able to remove anything. Next we are asked to insert the value 2 here. So now since 2 is not in our data structure, so we insert the value 2. Next we need to randomly get a value, right, from the data structure. So since we have 2 elements here, there should be a 50-50% chance of getting one of those elements. Basically that is what equal probability means. So if there are 3 elements, then we'll have 1/3 probability of getting each of those elements, and so on. So now after get random, we need to remove again. So we need to remove our element, our value 1. Now to perform a remove operation, we need to do it in O of 1 time complexity. Also to perform the insert, we need to perform it in O of 1 time complexity. So what comes in your mind when you think of O of 1? Well, in case of array, when you push an element at the end, it is O of 1 time complexity. But if you need to remove an element from the first of the array, then it will be O of n time complexity. If in case you remove it from the very first and then you shift all the elements towards the left, so that will be an O of n time complexity. And also we need to check while we insert or remove if the element is present in the array or not, right? So is array good example, a good data structure for us to use? Well, yes, definitely it is, if we use it along with a map. So let me show you here. So what we are going to do here is we are going to use a map as well as an array. So we are going to use a map and an array. In the map we'll have key, which will represent the elements in the array, and the value will be the index of the elements. So how are we gonna do this is that, for example, I have an array here. So my elements insert, I need to insert a value 1 in my data structure array. So what I do is I insert the value 1. I need to check, right, if value 1 exists in the array or not. So what I do before inserting, what I do is in the map, right now my map is empty. So this is my key and this is my value. So right now my map is empty because I do not have any elements in my data structure so far. So now I need to insert the value 1 and I check, is the value 1 in my map? Basically no. So what I do is, that means that the value 1 is also not in my array because only those keys are in my map which are in the data structure. So I insert my value 1, I push it to my array, and I also add the element 1 and then the index of that element, which will be 0 here. And then next, if I'm asked to insert an element 4 in my array, so now I check if the element 4 is in the map. Well, 4 is not in the map, right? So what I do is I insert the element with the index itself, and I also push it on to my array. Next, if I'm asked to push an element 0, then I check it's not in my map, so I insert the element 0 with the index which is equals to 2, and then I push it to my array. So all of these are taking place in O of 1 time complexity because push operation is O of 1, and in map, to look for map dot has feature. So we are using map dot has function to check for each of these elements, and this function is also O of 1 time complexity, so we are doing it in O of 1 time complexity. Now next we are asked to remove the element, suppose 4, from our array, from our data structure. So what we do is we check in our map, does 4 exist? We use this function to check map that has 4, and yes, it returns the value of 1. So which means that we have our value 4 at index 1. So what we do is we replace the value at index 1 with the value at the end of our array. So this will be replaced by 0. So let me just use another color here. So we will replace 4 by 0 here, and then decrease the length of the array, or we could just do array.pop. So pop, we could use the pop function on our array, and then what we do here is we also delete this element here. So we delete the value here from our map. So we remove this one and we remove this one, and the final result we will have 1 and 0 in our array, and all of these are like O of 1 time complexity. And for random as well, to get a random value, we are going to use math.random with the index with the size of our array, so that we get so that each of the elements have equal opportunity to get selected. Now let's write our code. So we need an array okay, and this dot map equals to new map. And now to insert, if we check in map, if this dot map has the value, then we return false, because this means that the value is already present and we cannot insert it. Else what we do is we push to our array the value, and then to our map dot add, we add to our map our value and the position. So let us do this before we push to our array, so that the position, the index will be the length of the array here. All right, and then add it to the map and then push to the array, which will increase the length of the array, and then finally return true. And now for removing operation, we check if it exists in our map or not. The value, if it does not exist, then we return a false, because it should exist for us to remove it, right? So now if it exists, then what we need to do is we need the index equals to this dot map dot get the index of the value. So this will give our index, and then what we need to do is we need to replace the value at this index with the value at the end of the array, which is at the length -1, and then pop out of the array so we pop from our array the last element, and then we also need to delete the element from our map, right? Delete that value and then return true. And then to get random, we need to the index, right? A random index, rand equals to random index equals to dot random the size of the array -1, because we need to insert the index, right? And then this will be the random index, and we return the value from the array on that index. Okay, so everything looks good so far. Let's try to run our code. Okay, it's not add, it's set. Oh, something is wrong here. Got undefined while returning GetRandom. Okay, so does this need to argument? Okay, I think I need to see. Okay, so actually in JavaScript, it returns a value. The method random returns a value from 0 to 1, and we actually need to multiply it with the length of the array to get our value from 0 to the length of the array. And this could be in a fraction, so we need to parse this. We need a floor value for this one. Great, so our first case passed. Let's submit our code. So what went wrong here? Okay, so GetRandom is not working again. Okay, so something is wrong with my remove function actually. Something is wrong with my remove function. Let's see, what is it? Value method kit. Okay, here while we remove, we are moving the value at this index to this index, right? So we also need to update that thing here. So map set the value. Now since we have shifted the value from this index here to this one, x, so the value at here is this index, right? Now let's run our code. Great.